Hello once again, guys. Welcome back to Stock Radar. I hope you're having a fantastic day and you had a great week so far. And so in this video here, we're going to be doing an analysis of Tesla stock. I have to say I'm surprised we haven't covered this one already. I thought it was a duplicate, but I looked back and we have not talked about Tesla. And there's certainly a lot of excitement going on right now with this stock. There was the news of this company possibly going private. We saw the stock shoot up like crazy. Then there was a bit of a crash afterwards. There was a member of the management team that has resigned very suddenly. And so there's been a lot of stuff going on with Tesla stock, a lot of news and a lot of movement with that share price. And so what we're going to do is kind of talk about Tesla, why you might want to invest, and why I personally would not invest in a stock like Tesla. So moving on, let's cover the basic overview here. The symbol is TSLA on the NASDAQ. They are not a profitable company, so they do not have a price to earnings ratio, which makes it incredibly difficult to actually value this company. Obviously, because they're not making any money, they're not paying a dividend, and they have a market cap of $50 billion. Now, the type of investment, this is either an aggressive growth stock, or I consider this to still be a speculative play here because of the fact that they are not profitable. Some people might disagree with me and say that Tesla is not a speculation, but I'm a little bit more conservative when it comes to investing, and I'm going to call this a speculation because of the fact that they are not making any money and they've been losing more money every single year, and this is a 15-year-old company. So a little bit of background here on what Tesla is. This is a company that designs, develops, manufactures, and sells electric vehicles as well as energy generation and storage systems. And they operate through two segments. Number one is the automotive segment where they're selling their electric vehicles. And number two is the energy generation and storage. And they also are involved in solar panel manufacturing through Solar City. That is a company that Tesla owns. And one common misconception out there that I see from people is they say, oh, I'm investing in Tesla stock because, Elon Musk has all these cool ideas like SpaceX, and SpaceX is a separate company. It's a private company. And if you're investing in Tesla, you don't have any exposure to SpaceX. So I think that's a common mistake people make, is thinking that SpaceX is the same company. These are two separate companies. Tesla is public and SpaceX is a private company. So you don't actually have any exposure to SpaceX through Tesla. So moving on, what are the pros of this company? Why would you be investing in Tesla stock? Well, one of the main reasons that you'd consider, or at least I would consider, is that because Tesla has constant media attention, it's basically free marketing. So Elon Musk goes out there and he does a lot of things that are relatively controversial. He's very similar to Donald Trump, as we're going to talk about in a little bit here. Whether it's tweeting or going on an interview and smoking marijuana or doing all of these kind of like publicity stunts just to get media attention. And it really does put a lot of eyes on Tesla. People are constantly talking about the company and the stock. And as some people say, there's no such thing as bad publicity. That may be the case here with Tesla, where there are a lot of people talking about this company and there's a lot of buzz. As far as Tesla goes, they have a very strong brand and very loyal customers. I see a lot of people out there wearing Tesla shirts. People who drive Teslas are usually people who really are going to be committing to that for a long time. They're going to continue to drive Tesla vehicles. And there was a study that I had read where it had mentioned that people who drive Teslas, they did surveys of them and they are more likely to buy another Tesla than any other car manufacturer out there. So it seems like they have very loyal customers once they get somebody behind the wheel of a Tesla. Another pro of investing in Tesla is the fact that they have a very new direct-to-consumer car buying experience. So there are no dealers, there is no middleman. You don't go to a Tesla dealership. If you want to buy a Tesla, you do it online. You go online and you order your Tesla online, or you can show up at one of the company-owned dealers or showrooms where they're going to show you the Tesla, but you don't actually buy the Teslas there. So they're kind of trying to get rid of that whole car buying experience. That's a very negative experience of haggling for a vehicle, trying to get a fair price and having that middleman involved to buy it. So rather than going through a dealer, you buy your Tesla directly from the company and there's no haggling on price. The price is set, you either buy it or you don't. And so that is kind of an interesting pro there for them, is the fact that, you can just go ahead and buy this car online without having to go to a car dealer and deal with that whole experience. Another pro is that despite the fact that SpaceX and Tesla are totally separate companies, Elon Musk has stated on a number of occasions that there is some shared research between Tesla and SpaceX. and he's taken some of the ideas that they've learned or some of the things they've learned from SpaceX and incorporated that into the designs of Tesla vehicles. So there is a shared research environment there, which is definitely a pro. And then beyond that, there's just the overall pro of the fact that, autonomous driving is very much likely going to be the future, as well as driverless cars and electric vehicles. So they have three big things going for them. Autonomous driving, where people aren't going to have to drive their cars, driverless technology and electric vehicles. That's definitely going to be the future. And also the fact that Elon Musk does have a proven track record with PayPal and some of the other companies that he's been involved with before. So he does know what he's doing in terms of managing companies, and he's been successful in the past. But now we're going to talk about the cons and why I personally would not invest in this stock. First of all, it's the fact that Tesla and Elon Musk have made and broken many promises over the years as far as production capacity, as far as releases of vehicles. So they have had a track record of over-promising and under-delivering. And I think judging by the performance of the stock, it's kind of starting to catch up, and investors are just not as confident in the dream as they used to be. And despite the fact that they do have a lot of publicity and sharing around this company, Elon Musk has a similar approach to public relations as Trump, which is pretty much say and do whatever you want to do, and then you see what happens. And some people love that approach. Some people love people like Musk and Trump because they're so forward about things and they don't have a filter. But as a shareholder, I wouldn't want to have a CEO that's that much of a loose cannon. So personally, that is not something that I like. I think he probably would need to really appeal to the larger investors out there, have more a conservative approach to his public relations and what he puts out there on social media. Another thing, a major con, one of the biggest reasons why I would not invest in this company is the fact that their operating losses have expanded every single year. Each year they're losing more and more money, and the cash pile is dwindling as well. Another con is the fact that there's massive competition in the electric vehicle and driverless car markets. So yeah, Tesla does have some cutting edge technology, and they do have great vehicles. But who's to say that Tesla is going to be the winner here? Because pretty much every major car manufacturer out there is working on an electric vehicle, and they're working on driverless technologies. So there's nothing here that Tesla has that's going to be like their proprietary system, unless there is some kind of software involved with the driverless cars or things like that, the technology. But other companies out there are going to be able to make electric vehicles with batteries, and they're going to be able to make driverless cars with automation. So what's going to really differentiate Tesla from the competition? It's really going to come down to that brand. But pretty much every automaker out there is jumping on this trend because this is going to be the future. Another major con, which seemed to be a red flag for me, is the fact that they've had executive members jumping ship, and most recently this was the chief accounting officer. This was somebody who was recently hired on the company, and this guy left. Now, he said it was because of the fact that Tesla is so frequently in the media and he likes to be more behind the scenes, but it makes you wonder if it's maybe because of something other than that. Maybe there's some financial problems within the company. That's just speculation, but it is something to be concerned about. And then finally, another con is the fact that short interest is close to 20% on the stock. You have a lot of people betting against it, and I tend to look at short interest as a way to gear the overall sentiment for that stock. And right now there are a fair number of people who are betting against Tesla. So this has historically been one of the most shorted stocks in the stock market, and that short interest of 20% is definitely a red flag for me. So moving on, let's go ahead and look at some of the financial documents here for Tesla, starting off with the balance sheet. So what we can see here is that total assets have increased every year since 2014 at an average rate of 81.9% per year. Before you get too excited about that, let's go a little bit further here. We do see that cash and cash equivalents had increased pretty much every year from 2014 to 2017, but cash and cash equivalents have declined over the last 4 quarters from $3.6 billion to $2.3 billion. So they essentially burned through $1.3 billion in the last 4 quarters, and they're going to need a new influx of cash. They're going to need to get some cash from somewhere, which could mean, finding other investors, issuing more shares, or taking on more debt. And as we're going to see shortly, this company already has a massive debt load. Now, also on top of that, total assets have declined over the last 4 quarters as well, from $28.1 billion to $27.9 billion. Moving on, taking a look at the liabilities here. Total liabilities have increased every year since 2014 at an average rate of 78.1% per year. So although we've seen, very strong growth of assets, we've seen equally strong growth of liabilities. And we will say that total liabilities have been relatively flat over the last 4 quarters. But total assets have very slim coverage of total liabilities, a ratio of 1.16 to 1 in the most recent quarter. And I look for a 1.5 or better. And that means that for every $1.16 they have in assets, they have $1 in debt. And so Tesla does have a massive debt load, and they have relatively slim coverage of debts. And it's a company that is making no money with operating losses expanding year over year. That is not something that I would be interested in investing. I really do value the strengths of a company on the balance sheet, and this is not a balance sheet I'm impressed with. It kind of looks like a mess to me, but that's what Tesla needs to be doing in order to be revolutionary and be the first one to really develop some of these technologies. But it's at a cost here, and at a certain point they're going to have to make some money, or they're going to have to get their cash burn situation under control, or find new investors, take on more debt, or issue more shares, all of which are pretty lousy options at this point. So moving on, let's take a look at the revenue and income statements here. Total revenue has increased every year since 2014 at an average rate of 55.8% per year. However, cost of revenue in that same time frame has increased 61.4% per year, meaning that cost of revenue is creeping up and the profitability is actually declining. So cost of revenue is growing faster than total revenue, not something I like to see. And then taking a look at the net income there, as you can see, the losses have expanded every single year. So in 2014, they lost about $294 million. 2015, $888 million. 2016 was a little bit less at $674 million. And then in 2017, this was almost a $2 billion loss that Tesla had. That's a lot of money to lose. They are burning through cash left and right, and their cash pile is dwindling. Not really as something I'm looking to see here looking at these financial documents as far as something I would personally invest in. So let's take a look at the performance here of the share price. As you can see, over the last year, Tesla stock is down 22.3% compared to a 16% return from the S&P 500. So not only has it underperformed the S&P 500, it's down over the last year quite a bit. And over the last 5 years, Tesla stock is up just 60% compared to a 69.4% return from the S&P 500. So it has underperformed the S&P 500 in the last year and the last 5 years. I would say, looking at the performance of the share price here, Tesla has been a very bumpy ride for investors over the last 4 years, or last 5 years that is. And personally, I think this is not a company that, I know it's not a company I would invest in. I don't blame people for investing in this company. They are certainly working on some exciting technologies. And I do believe that the future is going to be driverless cars, electric vehicles, all of that. But it's just a matter of when is that future going to become a reality. I certainly don't see it happening immediately right now. And based on their current financial situation, Tesla does need to have a source of income, or at least stop losing as much money as they're losing. And so for those reasons, I would consider Tesla to be a speculation at this point in time. But anyways, guys, that's going to wrap up this video. I'd love to hear what you guys think about this stock over in the private Facebook group. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.